Today is Tuesday, August 6th, and you're listening to the Beer Temple Podcast.
Remember, this is what we wanted. Remember, this is what we said. To never be heard, seen from again. Remember, this is what we wanted. Remember, this is what we said. To never be heard, seen from again.
Hello, and welcome to the Beer Temple Podcast. I am your co-host, Mike Shalau from Is Was Brewing, and I'm here with your other co-host, Chris Quinn of the Beer Temple. Chris, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's
been a while.
Yeah. I think this is as long as of a hiatus as we have taken.
While actively doing it. I mean, we took
yes.
a very long hiatus.
Yeah. Well, I did.
Yeah.
I don't think you necessarily did that.
Right,
but
that's true. I felt spiritually.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's true. But part of it was just us having stuff we were doing, and then there was a show that kind of fell through that we didn't want to, so just stuff happened.
Mm-hmm.
But we're back.
Life happened.
Yeah. It's and here we are. And where are we?
We're not in Studio BT.
We're not.
We
not
are
in Studio B.
Studio iDub.
Yeah.
The Is Was Tap Room, which is kind of soft open. Yeah, ham horns for that. We're at 5121 North Ravenswood, and it took.
You can send letters here if you want.
Yeah, absolutely. I will probably get them, or maybe Zacho, our guy who lives upstairs, might get them by accident. But yeah, we've been kind of secretly, quietly soft opening Thursdays through Sundays from 2 to 8, trying to get our feet under us and hire some more staff. But the beers are cold and the room is mostly built out. And our grand opening will be August 17th, starting at noon and going to midnight. So then we'll expand to like full hours there. And that's also
Going to midnight.
Yeah.
Look at you.
Yeah, Friday and Saturday, noon to midnight.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, you inspired me.
Give it a shot.
Yeah, we'll see. Honestly, so we've been doing 2 to 8 is the hours we've been telling everyone, but we've been staying open later than that because people have been in here much later than that.
Yeah.
So 9-ish, 10-ish, depending on what day of the week it is. But the posted hours will be noon to midnight on Friday, Saturday. Noon to 9 the other days of the week, but that's all going to closed on Mondays. We're all gonna see how the neighborhood takes to that and what people are actually using the space for and how much time they're using it for. So But yeah.
Exciting.
Thank you.
Wow.
And that the 17th is also the day after, technically, but we're treating it as our 5th anniversary of when we released that first beer, the first Will Be batch at Beer Temple.
Yes.
Which is crazy to think that's 5 years ago.
Already taken business away from me.
That's true.
Well, hey, that's amazing. It's awesome to be here.
Getting good lacing on this guy today. Huh?
Yeah, I got some Wilby in your own branded Willy Beckers. Mm-hmm. Very cool. So that's a huge life achievement. It's probably the biggest life achievement that either of us had since we've been off the air, right? We all can agree with that.
No, actually, probably the second biggest for me.
Oh, okay.
I went to a Lucre pouring seminar yesterday.
Oh, okay.
So that was pretty huge.
That was huge. Okay.
Ziggy and Phil at Beer Miscuous were teaching us how to use the Lucre. I'm terrible at it, but I'm also barely allowed behind my own bar already. So,
do you have that thing set up right now?
No, it's not on.
Dude, I've never done that. I've never taken a class, and I will. And I've done it several times in the past. I will nail that thing either on the first or, if not, the second try.
Yeah, I start panicking. I also just start looking around the room when I'm supposed to be. I'm like, whatever, this is boring.
Okay.
But no,
it's
I also
not that hard.
No, it's not that hard.
It's just open and closed. Well, it's open, foam, and closed.
Yeah, there you go.
So there you go. When I say closed, I meant like beer's coming out, but it's restricted, I guess.
Right, which is the whole point. But we don't have the dimple mugs. We don't have any sort of dimple mug. We're not going to get one. So we had to figure out how to actually pour it correctly into a Willy Becker, which was not that hard.
Not that hard.
It was not that hard.
We were doing it into Stongs, and that was kind of hard.
That seems really hard. Those
But
like
it worked.
Milkos only.
But we could do it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
milk,
talented,
milk
man.
tubes.
Milk tubes.
Yeah.
And there's a milk jug, right? Which is like an even bigger version of a milk tube. It's a milk jug. I think that's made up.
Okay.
But yeah, so that
I mean,
was
there is the Mliko, which is the real deal.
right.
I was at Human Robot over last week. I was home, and
Nice.
yeah, and they said they were home to the original milk tube. So
They're the original milk
I
tube.
mean, that's what their menu said.
Huh.
So people were doing those things like crazy there.
Wow, that's insane. Like, I think about what the process or time or situation would be like to convince people to just consume 4 ounces of foam. Like, how do you actually
I don't know.
trick them into that?
It seems like they were using it as how I saw them being used. The milk tubes were as like a comped drink, comped round after you close out. Like, hey, can I get you one of these? Like those sort of things, like a farewell, goodbye, thank you.
Yeah.
So that's how I saw
That
them
makes
used.
sense. The only time I've really experienced them where they were being kind of used as the tap room equivalent of like a shot. Of like, you want a milk
Right.
tube? And so they would just like pour you.
I think that's kind of what they were doing there.
Yeah.
More or less. Yeah.
But also,
That's okay.
I got married.
Oh,
Yeah.
yay.
Yeah.
Hooray.
I got married.
That's right.
You guys were both there.
Oh,
So-
that's right. I was.
Serge was walking around with his mixing board, fading
Oh, my God.
in and out,
It was amazing.
pointing while he was fading.
The sound was
It
on
was
the vowel the
incredible.
vowels was incredible.
Stellar.
If anything, if I could take one thing away from Serge's performance, it's that a good fade, the best fade goes unnoticed, and everybody was like, could barely even think about the vowels or what was happening because the fades were so good
Yeah.
that's like all anyone could like think about.
Yeah, it was pretty. He was also wearing a white dress, which is kind of distracting.
Yeah. Well,
But-
it was just a long. It was. Those were tails. It was a white tux.
Oh, that's right, with the top hat.
with a 10-foot tail
That's That it was hard to discern.
and a little pauper holding it.
Yeah.
The tails.
It's cool you did bring that popper as your +1 to hold the tails.
Yeah.
I was expecting you to bring your wife, but you brought the popper.
Yeah. Which is cool.
It was also pretty cool of Sarah to walk down the aisle to jog her. Mm-hmm. So
Yeah. And he had the fade board like the old girls in the nightclubs in like the 20s, how they would have like the cigars kind of like mounted to their, on a strap around their neck.
Yep.
He was just like
Like a
walking
concession
around, with concessions, but it was fading, just
yeah.
fading everything.
yeah, it was pretty incredible. It was a great experience.
Yep.
That was the highlight for sure.
Yeah.
The fades.
The fades were great.
I'm really glad Sarah doesn't listen to this podcast.
It's okay. Yeah, that was amazing. It was cool to have.
Thank you for being there with me.
Yeah, the Dust Brothers were both there.
Yep. We got a very special. Kate Tronica was there.
Well, everyone.
Yeah, everyone who's anyone. Mm-hmm. We got a very special gift on the card table, which was Benjamin Danklin.
Yes, I have another gift for you as well, which I did not give you, but it is a wedding gift. But I'll give it to you.
Is it Hop
another
and Frog
time.
beer?
No,
Oh.
it is not. No, it's not. It's an
Is
actual.
It just the label from a
It's
Hop
an
and Frog?
actual gift, but I have to.
Fine.
Yeah. So.
I like the Danklin.
Yeah, so yeah, I figured. I was like, I wonder if I'll know who gave this to him. Who just left this Benjamin Danklin?
It was either my Aunt Bonnie from Iowa City or you. I couldn't narrow it down.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, as soon as I got there, I was like, where did the presents go? Because I'm walking around with a closed beer can in my hand. And Margaret noticed at least one person, because it was right by your guest book, looking at it and chuckling at the can. That
It was Eric that was
a
chuckling.
Benjamin. No, it wasn't. It wasn't. And then I told everybody about the forthcoming Abraham Drinklin that we'll be making.
So much funnier when it's Drinklin.
It's so good.
It's not Linklin, but Drinklin is so much funnier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not Franklin. It's Danklin.
Yeah, that's right.
Benjamin Danklin, Abraham Drinklin.
We went through our guest book on Monday, and there were two people who happened to mention Citra-style ales in there. I won't disclose who. I don't want to dox anyone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, keen-eared listeners will
Yeah, they may
probably
know.
be able to figure out who that could possibly be.
Yeah. Good luck.
Yeah. So tons and tons have happened. It's been so long since we've been on.
Have you had any beers that you've been really enjoying?
Well, here's an interesting beer that I had. I was in Fenwick Island, Delaware, and
As one does.
yeah, and my in-laws' place is not even a block from the Maryland border, but it's like the end of their block, like right at the end of the sidewalk, it just turns into Maryland. So they're like, a 1 minute walk from Maryland. And so I went to a liquor store, which was also very interesting because I've been going to that liquor store consistently but very infrequently for a long time. Mm-hmm. So it's very interesting to see what these like shore towns are getting in. And my goodness, the RTDs have just like exploded year over year over year. It's gone to White Claw, to High Noon, to now these Surfsides. And I heard from somebody who is making them now. They've got a huge contractor making them for them.
That's
now.
like a Philly local thing, or it was. Mm-hmm. It started as that.
Mm-hmm. It still may be. I mean, it still says Philadelphia, PA. You can still go to their distillery and stuff like that. But their big ones are like basically their versions of like Twisted Teas and like Arnold Palmer's and stuff like that. Very kind of like beachy vibes and colors and kind of that like that retro like 80s lined gradient thing that you see everywhere. Mm-hmm. Those were everywhere, and then a whole bunch of RTDs, lots of teas and
TEAs.
TEAs.
No, like not just twos, like the ready-to drinks.
Right. And it's a whole new world. It's a whole new world of puns because there's so many tea puns now. There was hoop tea. That was a really strong one that I saw. So then Margaret and I started thinking like, well, we should just start getting the trademarks to all of these.
Does
like subtlety and any of those.
Honest Tea is already one.
Honest Tea,
That's a real
right?
company already.
Exactly. Does
Iced Tea, the rapper, already have as an RTD of Twisted Tea?
I mean, he probably should.
Teas in that
Don't get it
sentence.
twisted, tea. I don't know. So that has just gone out of control. And those things, and like Dogfish Head, they have theirs now. They have their own RTDs. Like everybody's trying to get into that game. This Dogfish Head has been distilling for a long time.
They were the first
as
people
long
I
as
know
I
to make
can
a
remember.
peanut butter flavored.
Yes, I remember
thing.
having it. I think I still have a bottle of it.
Peanut butter vodka.
Of peanut butter vodka.
Yeah.
It's well over I think. It could be like 20 years old.
Wow.
I mean, it's old.
It's a vintage.
Yeah, I mean, it's at least 15 years old.
Jeez.
And
Take that thing out. Let's see how it's tasting.
that's the thing. Like, what do you do with that?
Rip shots of it warm with surge.
Exactly. After 15 years of it aging.
Yeah. Everyone knows peanut butter extract ages incredibly well, and
Yeah, famously.
alcohol, yeah.
Yeah, famously
we
well.
all know.
So I was sent to the liquor store to get Cayman Jack Zero Sugar margaritas by my sister-in-law.
It's a very specific order and something that I feel like you were passionate about.
Yeah. Some high noons. And then another, RTD thing. So I was like, I'll get the Dogfish Head ones. They had like a mixed one with like a Mai Tai, and crushes are real big down there. These like fruit crushes, which you go and they're a mixed drink where they have, it's basically fresh fruit, like fresh squeezed orange juice. They usually like squeeze them and make a show of kind of like squeezing the juice, and then like vodka and Sprite, is what it is. So they're fine, but those have been popular for a long time down at that part of the shore, and now they're canned, like all sorts of crushes. But when I was looking for some beer for me, I was like, well, it's like 90 degrees down there. So I wanted something very light.
The Yingling Hershey's Porter.
I almost got PBR, just like a 30 rack.
Yeah.
And then I saw National Bohemian beer.
Ooh,
and I was
Natty
like,
Bo.
whoa. I mean, when in Rome, I was in Maryland.
Yeah.
Actually, I technically wasn't, because I went to the one just on the other side of the border for tax-free shopping
Sure.
in Delaware.
Thanks, Joe Biden.
Yeah, so I got a 30 rack for, I think, $22.
Okay.
And it was
Was it great?
just fine.
It's just fine. Where does that
it was
rank
not
amongst
great.
those? Like if
not
we're talking
towards
like
the top.
we're talking like Yingling, Natty Bo, Jenny Cream Ale. Let's throw Montucky Cold Snacks in there. These like is Montucky well, they're owned by Gallo now. Whatever, but you get the idea. Like the non-Budweiser, non-Miller, bigger lager brands. Like what are some other ones? Narragansett maybe.
I'd have to.
Northeast.
I don't know. I don't think it would win, although it has a distinct flavor to it. So I could see people like kind of being drawn to it, because when we did a blind of like light lagers, or of like those cheap premium lagers like Schlitz and PBR and Old Milwaukee, and we had Montucky in there, and they were all so darn similar. And even High Life, when you have it, they're all so similar. Everyone's like, it's so funny. Everyone's like, I'm going to nail the High Life, guaranteed. I'm always going to get that one. Nobody got it.
No, it's all the same. It's all the same stuff.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So,
the branding is what.
but Natty Bo definitely had a difference in flavor profile. I wouldn't say it's better.
Like malty. I'm doing air quotes.
Yeah, it might have had like a air quote maltiness to it. It was still very light. I mean, I drank it out of the can exclusively, so I never saw what it actually looked like.
Sure.
But it had the little Pringles man on the front.
Yeah.
One of the great iconographies of in beer, or whatever you want to call it.
Something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
I can't think of it either.
Yeah.
Iconography?
Iconography.
Did we say it? Did we get
Yeah,
it?
sure.
All right.
Well, we got it.
Yeah, we nailed it. Look at us. Serge, edit that out.
Yeah, so it was cool. And I also felt that I was getting in my mind, better product than all those like Cayman Jack Zero Sugar margaritas.
That sounds terrible.
At
A zero sugar margarita sounds rough.
And dude, those things are so expensive.
Really?
Oh my gosh, all those RTDs are so expensive.
Because
like,
they're actual vodka in them, or tequila.
I think they're
in them.
taxed differently, is
Totally.
I think what it is. So like 8 packs were like or maybe I think it was like an 8-pack. It was like $20-something bucks.
Wow.
Yeah.
For a Cayman Jack, 0 sugar.
That was like the general price. They were all in that. Yeah. So I was getting, I got 30 Natty Bows for 22, might have been 25. I forget what it was, but something like that.
Yeah.
And was drinking local and
Supporting a local business.
Yeah.
They are still independently owned, right?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know who would want to really buy them. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe they are.
You don't
Maybe
see the private equity vultures circling Natty Bow.
Yeah, right.
With the Old Bay seasoning variant
Right.
they're going to kick out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'd had Natty Bow since college.
Yeah.
And I probably hadn't had it cold, maybe ever. So that was a beer.
Warm kegs of Natty Bow in college.
So that was a beer that I had. I also went to Meeting House. And can we just ramble in this show for a little while?
Yeah, that's what the show is.
That place is so interesting to me.
Yeah.
Colin McFadden is the owner. Really good guy. Actually we went to the same high school, different years. And it's ostensibly you go in there and there's cool design, but limited and understated, I would say. And I showed you I sent you a picture, Mike, of the entire drink menu, and it fit on one of those little boards where you kind of like slide the letters into the little horizontal like lines. Those, I don't know what you call those boards, but hopefully I'm describing it. You know, those little like menu boards.
Yeah.
And it fit on a moderately sized one. I mean, this is a bar, and everything they had fit on there. There was 3 house beers.
Light, dark, and then what's the...
Hoppy.
Hoppy.
I think it was pale, hoppy, and dark.
Pale, hoppy, and dark.
Which they make under their own label at a local craft brewery. They don't have their own brewery. There are 2 guest beers. I've been there one time over the winter, and there was a 4th. It was Celebration from Sierra Nevada. But the 2 year-round guest beers are Guinness and Orval. Guinness on draft. Orval. Yeah, Orval in bottles.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it, I don't know if there's any other packaged beer other than their own to go, like Hams or PBR, or I didn't see any. Which just even that is just astounding to me.
Yeah.
They had maybe 5 cocktails and 3 wines or 4 wines and a cider. And then I took another photo of their print menu, which has more on it, because it lists out literally every liqueur or every spirit on the back bar, and it's like 8 things. Yeah, let me see if I can just pull it up, because it is pretty astounding. Yeah, I have it right here. So this is their. I'm showing you. I know it's a visual thing, but it's basically the same thing that they showed you. So they have Negroni, Martini, Old Fashioned, a Dr. Henderson, which is from
Philly thing.
No, it's a British thing at this bar that they're like obsessed with. It's a Fernet and creme de menthe on ice in this little like sherry glass that they serve you. Because I was like, well, let's get a.
Sounds fucking terrible.
Yeah, no, it's like I mean,
sorry, Serge.
It tastes like Fernet.
Yeah,
but it's green.
Sure.
I like Fernet, so. And then a Long Island iced tea. And then they have Campari, Irish whiskey, American whiskey, London
It doesn't say what they
dry,
are, though. It just says
American vodka, Blanco tequila, Fernet Branco, Amaro, I'm going to say Noves. So they have and that's it. So they have Campari named, Fernet Branca, and then the Amaro that they have. And I look behind the bar. That's it. That's all they have. And this place is cranking. Every time I go there, it's busy. It's hip. I was there on literally a 100-degree day. They have an outdoor seating, so maybe that was why it was. But like, I would think nobody would want to go out on that day, and it was busy. And I asked the bartender there, like, why? What is it? And she was just like, people just want stuff kind of pared down, simplified, made easy. I don't know if that's true or not, but it's fascinating. So much so that I decided I want to ask Colin to come on the show and talk to me about this place and his concept for it.
Well, he's an interesting person to be owning a bar like that too, right? Because he was a brewer at Tired Hands for a long time. Yeah. So he has the chops to make those 3 house beers. Yeah. And then, but he's like, I think I listened to an interview with him where he's like, I just didn't really want to be making beer anymore. So I wanted to do something else that was like a little less like physically exhausting as like humping.
I don't know about that. This guy's busting his hump every time I see him.
Sure, but there's a difference between like busting your ass moving cases, making drinks and like humping 50-pound bags all over the place and like climbing ladders to dry hop stuff. So I'm not saying bartending isn't physically demanding, but it's a different type of thing. Yeah. And he just didn't want to be doing the brewing thing anymore. So he has his chops to like make these 3 beers that I'm sure are really good, and then curate this list. And there's also like it's like almost like a concept of what a bar is, right? Like you're distilling a bar down to like the real nuts and bolts of like why do people come to these things? What do they actually want? What is the most fundamental, basic version of a bar that cares about the quality of the stuff, right?
Right.
Whereas it's not just like we're trying to just crank volume and make money and sell White Claws and stuff like. It's like we want to have quality stuff, but we want to do it simply. It's a very cool idea. I've never been there, but I would love to, and I'd love to talk to him about it.
Yeah, I mean, and then other than I
wonder how much Orval they actually sell.
Right. I don't know. I don't know how much they actually do. They do a ton of Guinness, and even like the wines and the as you mentioned, the spirits themselves, like they aren't called out specifically. And that's the same with the wines. It was white wine, and this is a Gruner Veltliner, a red wine on the type. The sparkling wine was a dry prosecco, and then mystery wine. That's it. That's all it says.
There's something interesting about like using a menu like that to kind of control the experience people are going to have at your place, right? Like once you start listing off all these different bourbons and all this other stuff, like it becomes this different experience.
I'm just showing you the picture, but like that's the whole menu.
Yeah.
There's 3 beers that are prominently displayed, 2 guest beers, and then that's it. I mean, I just read to you the entire menu except for 3. Except for the fact that they also have coffee, lemonade, Guinness Zero, and San Bitter. So now I've listed literally everything.
Everything you can order.
Everything at this bar.
Can you call drinks, like, or would they just be like no?
With those alcohols.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Right. I mean, if they can make it with that, they'll make you one. I presume. I didn't really get into it, but that to me seemed to be the reason you would literally list every spirit you have.
Right.
Because if you want, they have the Irish whiskey for shots, I'm sure. Yeah. If you want to do shots, they'll give them a shot.
Right.
Or a shot of Fernet or something like that.
Whiskey.
They have a vodka. They have a gin. I mean, they didn't say like soda water, but maybe they'll have some tonic and some soda,
right.
and stuff like that. Maybe they have some cola. Although I don't know if they don't have rum, so I don't know if they're doing rum and cokes, but
yeah, I mean they can't.
Yeah. So that's it.
It is an interesting, you think about like the places that got a lot of attention in the last 10 years, and those places that would be like I think at least cocktail bars like Billy Sunday had a bazillion different
Right.
like Amaro that you would never even know, or like you have no idea what they are, or like a Queen Mary has all these different rums, and they're a naval strength rum bar kind of thing, and like I don't think that's ever gonna go away. That the place that has like a really big book of like really interesting things is ever gonna be totally. But this isn't new either, right? Like this is like bars were like that before we got really brand conscious, and like there was the internet where you could find out about all these different types of American whiskeys and all these different types of Irish whiskey. It was just like, here's what we have, and what do you want? You know, like it's a little bit in between, right? A little bit in between the two. It's like it's a curated experience, but also still just being like we're a corner bar.
Yeah.
Cool.
Literally on a corner.
Yeah.
So those are the beers that I had. Have you had anything that you've liked lately?
I've been drinking a lot of my own beer. Obviously, the tap room's open, and I made another batch of Blue-Haired Gal, which is a beer I made for my now wife, which is a saison that's conditioned on ginger. And I was drinking that all during my wedding.
Me too.
And honestly,
I
had a Floodlands. Felix brought in a Floodlands plum beer that was really nice and delicious.
If you don't mind, let me ask. So, I think all but 2 of the alcoholic options I helped you procure. So you had, and I find this very fascinating. You had a was it like a Chenin Blanc white wine
in a keg.
From a keg.
Yeah.
You had boxed wine, an American Sangiovese.
Yeah, it's Italian, isn't it?
Was it Italian?
It's Italian, yeah.
Okay, it's called Sandy
Genovese.
Giovese or
Yeah.
something. So it's a play on it.
Yeah.
I assumed it was American because they weren't calling it that, but I didn't. So anyway, the boxed wine.
It might be. I don't even know. I just ask people, what's a good red boxed wine?
Oh, okay. And then you had High Life, Beguile Blonde, and Blue-Haired Gal, and High Noons.
Yes.
Right? Is that everything? Right? It's like Meeting House. Your
yeah.
place is like Meeting House, basically.
That's everything. Yeah, my wedding is Meeting House.
Do you know, like one way or another, like what was ordered the most? Because looking around, I was very interested in what I saw being ordered.
So I don't know what was ordered the most. We had the least of the High Noons, and those are gone. All the High Lifes were gone. There's maybe a gallon or less left in the half barrel we brought of Blue-Haired Gal.
Yeah.
There's probably less than half a gallon of white wine left. And we have the only thing we have a lot of left of is the boxes of red wine.
Okay.
But to be fair, it was like 90 degrees.
Yeah, it was very warm.
Yeah.
There's
no Beguile Blonde left either.
I was noticing, like the order in which people were drinking them. And obviously, a lot of people were drinking your beer. I think I drank that exclusively with dinner. I got a glass of wine.
Yeah.
I was quite surprised by how many people were drinking High Noon.
Yeah.
Way more than I would have thought.
I
way
would've-
different types of people.
Sure.
Way
like,
different age ranges.
That was Sarah. Like, she was mostly just like, you figure this out, except you have to get High Noon. And it was specifically called by name that we have to get High Noon because that's what her, like, even most of her friends were drinking beer, but she's like, when they do drink that stuff, it's High Noon. They hate White Claw. They don't like Truly or any of that stuff. It's High Noon is what they drink.
Right.
So we got some mixed packs at High Noon. And I think people were pretty agnostic to flavors because it was, I think we got two.
I think there were 3 or 4 flavors. I don't know.
Well, there were 3 or 4 flavors, but we got like 2 or 3 of the mixed packs. So there's only like 4 of each flavors.
Yeah.
And they're all gone. They were all gone.
Oh, they were all gone pretty early.
Yeah. I mean, my sister, who doesn't really drink at all, with the alcohol she had was a High Noon. So it's like people view it as
Dave
like a
Portnoy
clean thing. Yeah, she loves Dave Portnoy.
Yeah, hey, he's a New England guy.
He's a big stoolie.
Yeah. So I found that interesting as well. I like kind of going and seeing that sort of stuff. I had just literally the day before I had been in on the East Coast, so I was in that mindset.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it was interesting. I'm actually surprised how much of the beer we made we went through. And there was one case of High Life I couldn't fit in my car, so I assume it would have all been drank anyway. But yeah, it was. People like to drink.
Yeah. Well, at weddings anyway.
Yeah.
Why don't we take a quick break now that we've had our quick little non-banter intro,
Yeah.
and
quick banter intro.
and then we can refill our glasses and then come back with more of the Insiders Roundtable. And we're back with the Beer Temple Podcast. I'm your host, one of your hosts, Chris Quinn. Your other host is Mike Shalau. We're here at the new Was Tap Room. And, just settling in, having another Will Be. And there is something that I've been on the lookout for after taking a hiatus for a few years, because, Mike, you know that we are undefeated in the North American Guild of Beer Writers Best Beer Podcast Award.
That's correct. No one has ever defeated us.
No one's ever defeated us. We're kind of like that Russian Greco-Roman wrestler Karelin, although he did then on his
compete
last.
a lot though.
Yeah, well, I mean, whatever. I don't know if there's any real difference
Then
there.
Rulon Gardner took him down.
Right, that's the thing. So will we beat Karelin, or will we be better than him? Because we're applying again this year. I've decided, and I believe I haven't quite looked at the submission, but if I remember what it was like kind of last year, you submit like I think 3 episodes that have been in the last 12 months. It's not the calendar year, but I think it's between like maybe like July and July. And so we have to think of of 3 episodes that really kind of will showcase this podcast the best. So I thought, and I think you thought as well, that we should put it out to the listeners to see if there's any episodes that like jump out at them as ones that they think are good.
Yeah, either really
I'm
good.
guessing 3 different draft beer ones.
Yeah, it's kind of, or the
fantasy
probably
draft.
the Smokey and the Bandit
And the Smokey and the
in an
Bandit.
episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, things you think are either exemplary of what we do on the show really well, or just things that are not like what we do on the show but are very good entertainment.
Right.
Let us know what you think, because I genuinely don't know where to start. I have a couple of ideas, but
I got a couple.
I'd like to hear what other people think.
Right.
I think they listen to the show as much as we do.
They probably listen to it a lot more than we do.
Yeah.
Yeah. We probably think about the show more, but
I'd hope so.
yeah. But I'm genuinely interested. You can send it to insiders@craftbeertemple.com, or you can send us a handwritten letter. Better get that in the mail fast.
Yeah.
though.
When are these due?
I think like towards the end of this month, August. So we should probably do it pretty soon.
Yeah.
We got to start thinking about it.
And you can send those to the
Submit
Beer
them.
Temple at
3173 North Elston Avenue, Chicago, Illinois, 60618. And the address and the email address are both in the show notes, so you can look that up there as well. So think about that, everyone out there. If you like the show and you think that it's worthy of the judges to, you want to show the world, if we want to be the Karelin up until the point where he wrestled
until the
Gardner.
second overtime with Rulon Gardner.
Exactly. Then let's prove it. Probably a lot more beer podcasts now than when we won the first time, but it's good for us to just, come out and, it's like somebody, maybe the Olympics are going on, someone who, won the '96 Olympics and then comes back in 2024
It's like
and
Scottie
and
Pippen
see how he can
playing for the
Yeah.
the NBA the basketball team this year.
You're right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Give me the ball.
Yeah.
Let me shoot.
Yeah. So I wanted to put that out there. Um, Also, I mean, we're in your tap room.
Mm-hmm.
I think we should probably talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
We're at was.
We are.
Um,
The space we're currently sitting in used to be Koval's distillings like space, and then the place where our the production is going to be was originally Metropolitan, and then in between that it was Urban Brew Labs took over both the spaces.
yeah.
So a lot of good booze making history in the last couple decades here, and we've got a bunch of saisons on draft, obviously, and we've been saving about a case of everything we've ever put Brettanomyces or a mixed culture into since we opened, which was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So we currently have a bottle list that's about 130 different bottles deep.
Yeah. I remember ordering from it.
Yeah, it's a lot of bottles. Is it
It
the
is.
opposite of the meeting house? But it's pretty cool. We have every Levan we've ever made. We have almost every version of Will Be with Brettanomyces. We have don't have every finer points of bad behavior anymore because someone in the neighborhood who's been coming in during the soft openings ended up buying all of the cucumber one. Which
gonna
is,
happen.
Ironically, the most recent one is the only one we don't have anymore. And then a bunch of bourgeois daydreams and just a really cool archive of the things we've been working on for the last 5 years. And it's I'm very proud of how the build out went, and we got some very cool artwork from our artist Joe Kraft and some great built-in banquettes from our friend Eric, and who also did the painting in here, and then a nice signboard from Ginger Gold that we just installed last week. A lot of stuff that's still in progress too. So, but by the 17th, we'll all be pretty set up, pretty done. I feel like I changed every single light bulb and every single fitting in every single place I'm a little bit of an obsessive about the quality of light. And even the fake Edison LEDs don't do it for me. So you got to get the real Edison bulbs in there.
One of them.
Yeah. And
Got to go to Japan where they're still allowing them to be made.
Right, yeah. These are from a company called Hudson or something. I imagine that's probably America, right? And all those bottles are cold all the time, so come in and grab them. We also are sitting at a table that my uncle made from all reclaimed wood from a semi-truck. It's all white oak when the floors of semi-trucks were white oak. And he made this table by hand.
Yeah,
And
this table's amazing.
And you can sit around it and have some beers on it.
Have beers and enjoy yourself and
Yeah.
watch the world go by in front of you. The big old windows.
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very cool space. It's going to be fun to see it come alive.
Yeah. And right now, everything we have on draft that we make is a Saison, but we have some guest beers from our friends at Goldfinger, Beguile, and Hot Butcher to round out things that we think other people might enjoy that we don't make, because we just want you to have a good time, even if you're not drinking our beer. And then when we have the back up and running, we'll probably branch out into some other styles that I haven't made in about 5 years. And we also have a non-alcoholic
Tranquil.
shrub. It's all house-made malt vinegar from our beers, and then McClug fruit and a little bit of water and sugar. And it's a non-alcoholic option if that's what you're into.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think it came together. I'm really proud of how it looks and the work it took to get here. And
Yeah.
now I've hired people that for the first time ever.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very proud of who we hired and how they're working together so far. So
It's great.
yeah,
And now, it's exciting. Ready to go for the 17th,
yeah,
right?
Mhm.
And then it's off and
yeah. We'll be doing a ribbon cutting with Alderman Vasquez.
oh, look at you.
Yeah, yeah. The Ravenswood Chamber of Commerce is very active in promoting the breweries and businesses here. So he'll be out for ribbon cutting right when we open at noon, and then we'll be open noon to midnight. We'll have some music from some guys I went to college with, actually. Corbin Andrick and Andrew Lawrence, who is Ari's friend from growing up, who are in a band called Bonzo Squad. That's a really fun jazz funk band.
Got it.
We're playing a little bit of music.
That's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of laid out for that sort of stuff to kind of work well. It was like somebody was just checking out your place. Sorry, caught my eye and I saw him. He was looking at you, and now he's coming back. I think he's looking around. So I think he wants to see.
That's the guy who he's walking our friend's dog upstairs.
Oh, okay. So we'll take a break real quick. Do you need to talk to him?
Yeah, give me 1 second.
Oh.
Sorry about that.
Now it's your turn for people to inexplicably just like not realize it.
Well,
maybe not the best.
One of our neighbors upstairs. Well, there's 2 commercial units and 1 residential unit above us, and one of the residential unit, the guy's a stand-up comedian who's currently on tour, and that was his dog
Jim
walker.
Gaffigan?
Who needed to get it's a James Gaffigan.
Oh.
It's a Tom Segura. No, it's Zach O'Ryan. Anyone out there who's wondering who our neighbor is? Not to dox
Okay.
him. But
I think he'd want to be doxxed, right? Wouldn't that be a good thing?
sure.
If you're a comedian, you want.
His dog walker needed to get in and walk his massive mastiff named Zeus.
All right. Well, now we got the full backstory.
There you go.
Yeah. So, August 17th was Tap Room in Chicago. Come on by. And I know we will be talking about it plenty in the future. I would imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be fun to talk about. Okay. So where should we go from here? We have a whole bunch of letters. We have really we have quite a few letters. One of them, I guess it's a letter, but it's also it's a press release that was sent to us, and it worked because we're going to talk about it. It's from
His was brewing.
Marty
Tap Room events.
Marty Nashel, I think is how you say his last name.
I think so.
And Chicago beer guy. I'm pretty sure he's a Chicago guy.
He's a CBS guy.
I think so.
Chicago Beer Society, right?
Yeah. Marty is now the according to the press release, he is the founder and chief delegator of the American Craft Beer Hall of Fame. So there is now an American Craft Beer Hall of Fame.
Cool.
I guess. Cool. And they're going to have their initial induction coming up, which is fine.
I didn't get my invitation yet.
Well, I'm sure they're trying to surprise you.
Us, all 3 of us,
As
media members.
Yep, exactly. So the inaugural class of inductees will be announced this fall. So
Maybe that's why.
And they have it's not an acronym, but what do you call it when it's like you just use like the first letter, but it doesn't make another word. It's just like TBD or something like that. You know how it's like GABF?
Like an abbreviation?
Yeah, I guess maybe that's what you'd call it. So it's
GBF. Acrostic poem.
So this one is the ACBHOF.
Rolls off the tongue.
Yeah, so the ACBHOF. It's quite long when you see it written out.
Yeah.
But whatever. It's definitely easier to say than the American Craft Beer Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
So the ACBHOF.
Right, for short.
Yeah. I want to see if there's any one. I'm assuming it's people, but it says all facets of the industry. So it's brewery owners, brewers, writers, educators, and others. So wait, writers and educators, but not publicans.
It says and others.
And others, but others. I mean, writers and educators, but not a. Okay, whatever.
I didn't make the list.
Or the categories or whatever.
Is rude though.
So, more importantly, who do you think should be in the inaugural Craft Beer Hall of Fame were there one?
How big is the class? You're saying like 5?
I don't know. No, just it can be 100 if you want. I don't know.
Okay, start. I'm gonna go 1 through 100
Okay, in order.
in order. Ken Grossman. Right.
Yeah. I think we can both 100% agree that there's a few. So you got to have Grossman, you got to have Fritz Maytag.
Yep.
You got to have Charlie Papazian.
Yep.
Right? I mean, those guys are just, I'd say probably Jim Cook.
Yeah.
Boston
You
Beer.
have to.
Right?
Probably Sam Calagione.
Yeah.
If he's on the first ballot of the first round.
Oh, boy. Is Sam Calagione a first ballot Hall of Famer? And I mean, like, literally first ballot. Like,
Right.
not the first eligible, but, like
the
first
is
ever.
like up there with Babe Ruth. Is he higher than Rob Todd?
Yeah, I think he
You
is.
think so? I think he has a bigger profile
I think he has a
outside of
bigger
craft beer, but I think at
profile.
this point Rob Todd is bigger in craft beer because he's still
Right.
doing it, right?
Yeah, I agree. And poor Dogfish Head. Talk about a brand that's just been destroyed.
Yeah.
I mean, boy, oh boy.
Yeah.
That's sad. We'll talk about that
never
another time.
never hear about them anymore.
No, you don't. It's quite a bummer.
It is.
Okay. So, yeah. So then you've got. So are there any that are like the big ones? And remember, this is the American craft
Right. So like
beer
Michael
Hall of
Jackson's
Fame.
not going to be in it.
Michael Jackson can't be in it.
I mean, he could
He's
be.
a Brit.
Do you have to be American born, or do you have to have impacted American beer? Randy Mosher would be a writer that might make it. I don't think he's first ballot.
Okay, so here it goes. The American Craft Beer Hall of Fame has been established to honor, celebrate, and commit to history those who are responsible for initiating, sustaining, and promoting the American craft beer industry. So they don't need to be
Don't
Americans.
be American. So Michael Jackson
All right.
could be on there. I don't think he will be a first ballot person.
Certainly could be. Yeah.
Garrett Oliver might be on there.
Sure. There's also people like, I don't think he will be, but like Don Younger.
Bixel,
Yeah, Don Bixel from Three Tier Beverage.
the merch company.
Yeah. Merchandiser
Yeah.
of the Year award goes to Don Bixel for North Face Kayak branded giveaways. By the way, Don was in Portland, Maine, and was at Allagash, and he called me. He's like, I'm here. I'm at Allagash. Do you want a shirt? And I was like, yeah, grab me a shirt. And I just want to say, thank you, Don. It is the nicest T-shirt I own.
Really?
Really nice T-shirt.
Just like
Pocket
quality
tee,
wise.
just like, it's great. It's an awesome shirt.
Yeah, Maine doesn't mess around when it comes to clothing. Like
Yeah.
LL Bean set him up right.
That's true. Okay, so
I want three-tier duck boots.
That'd be good.
Yeah. Anyway, back to who else do you think might be in there?
Boy, who else might be in there? Yeah, I think so. It's easy just to look at brewers and brewery owners.
Yeah.
I think you could maybe go with the guy from The Alchemist, Jimmy.
Kinch?
Yeah, Kinch. I don't think he'll be a first ballot. I think Sam Calagione and Rob Todd and Vinny Salerzo would probably go in. Vinny maybe.
Vinny.
I think would Vinny or Sam. I don't know.
Okay, what about if there was a American craft beer publican Hall of Fame? Who are you putting in there?
That's what I was saying. Don Younger is from the Horse Brass. He was kind of famous as like one of the first craft beer focused and dedicated and evangelizing bars in Portland, Oregon, which is, one of the OGs.
Yep.
The guy, I forget his last name. His first name's Chris, I'm pretty sure, from the Falling Rock in Denver is a
Rest
huge
in
one.
peace.
Yep.
Roper's got to be in there.
I think Roper would be in there as well. Tom Peters from Monks.
Yeah.
I would say those would be the top ones.
Yep.
I would think, in a weird way, I don't know, maybe Younger would go in first, but I don't know.
And then
He
Chris
could
Quinn.
maybe be in it, but I don't know if he has had the impact that Charlie Papazian has had.
Sure.
I mean, that's kind of crazy. I mean, could Ray Daniels go in? Because he's done Cicerone, and he's also was the head of Brewers Publication.
Yeah.
Prior to that,
Right.
I mean,
And he's written a bunch of books.
right,
A foundational text in my brewing life, for sure, designing great beers.
right.
He's been on this podcast, so that's a plus for
Well,
him.
that's true. That's probably pushes him. Yeah.
It's interesting how to think about how temporal some of these things are, right? Like, if we were talking about this 10 years ago, like, we'd be like, oh, Tony McGee, no question. But he's disappeared, right?
Who is?
Tony McGee. Like, if we were talking about this 10 years ago, like,
Yeah.
who goes in the American Craft Beer Hall of Fame, we'd be like, well, it's got to be him.
Yeah. Yeah, I
mean-
think so, but I don't think. Yeah, I don't think now.
John and Greg Hall have a good argument to be first balloters.
I think so too.
Of the two of them, who do you think would be more important to be on the first ballot?
Probably Greg Hall.
I would say Greg Hall too. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm being disrespectful to John Hall on the business side of it, but I mean, you invent Bourbon County Stout, and you kind of like change beer in Chicago forever, like with the creative things you're doing. Yeah, you're who I'm going to lean towards.
Yeah, I'm just trying to look at who else would be here. I think that's it. I think that is
Yeah.
the first ballot
Right.
people. There's a very famous beer writer who I just recently passed away that we are kind of criminally forgetting. Oh boy, we're gonna get in trouble. Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
If
But
you know who we're talking about, right into the,
yeah, right.
the Beer Temple podcast.
Yeah.
Insiders at beertemple.com.
Okay, so now, I mean, they'll probably have a bunch. They'll want to have like 10 people or something like that.
You think so?
Yeah, but I think.
Is
Go on.
this going to be
What's
a
up?
physical place, or is this just like
I doubt it.
like
I don't know.
Like Cooperstown style busts?
Yeah. Yeah, they probably will.
That'd be pretty sick.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I'm trying to look at who. Yeah, maybe like who wrote for the Oxford Companion, like who submitted to that.
I'm trying to figure out the person that passed away that we can't remember.
Yeah, I still am, but we should probably just let it go.
I mean, Good Beer Hunting just passed away. Rest in peace.
It's true. I don't think they would. I don't think they would have made the cut.
No, probably not.
Yeah. Fred Eckert. That's what I was thinking of.
Fred.
Yeah. I think Fred Eckert could maybe be first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, another Portland, Oregon guy.
Mm-hmm.
So if I had to guess, I would say it's going to be Fritz. It's going to be
Ken Grossman.
It's going to be
Charlie Papazian.
Charlie Papazian.
You think
Fred
it's-
Eckert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Papazian kind of fills that role, though, right? Like, he's like a writer
That's
and
true.
organizer.
It's true.
You're going to do two of those guys?
All right, maybe he's second ballot. then.
Maybe a second ballot.
Okay, fine. Papazian, Maytag,
Uh-huh.
Grossman,
Yep. Probably Calgione, right? Well, I think Jim. It's Jim, right? Jim Cook.
Yeah,
Cook.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna be.
He's
in
going to
that.
be in.
Yeah,
So it's
'cause
those.
he's probably sponsoring the whole thing.
It's those 4.
Yeah. And then is Sam making it? Is he going over Rob Todd?
And then, yeah, probably him.
What about Gary Citra?
It's true. And
Sergio is now showing us a picture
Yes.
of young Serge with
Jim
Cook, probably in his I eat yeast and yogurt era, so I don't get drunk.
so, right. So it's Gary Citra, you said?
Yeah, Gary.
Gary Citra.
Yeah, the patriarch of the Citra family.
And, yeah, it'd be him or perhaps, like, Louis Cascade.
Yeah,
Louis de Cascade.
Well, he's a Frenchman that happened to grow.
But he influenced American craft
He
beer.
did. I think he would have to be a first ballot, and then Citra would come in later.
Yeah.
It's like the argument of, like, would every pitcher now strike out Babe Ruth? Like, duh, obviously Cascade is trash compared
Right.
to Citra.
And then there's Caden, Aiden, and Jaden Rawaka. Mm-hmm. They're kind of newer.
Yeah,
They're newer, younger.
they're really more influential in the New Zealand Hall of
Yeah.
Fame. So, but there's a big impact there.
Yeah.
They could qualify.
And then
but they're
Madison
young.
Saphir. I just like thinking of newer children's names that I'm
Yep.
not a fan of, and then adding a newer hop that I may be a
yeah.
fan of.
Mm-hmm. And like Hunter Nelson.
Ooh, Hunter Nelson. Now that's a good hop name.
He plays for the Reds too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's it. Maybe Garrett Oliver,
Yeah, Garrett Oliver, I think will get in there.
first ballot.
I think so.
I think you will.
He's
He also
so
strikes me as someone who would campaign
for
to
it.
get
Yeah,
it.
he's so tied into all that. He's doing the Michael Jackson beer thing. He's like publicly. He's very publicly just
Yeah, out there.
fundamental to the beer scene. So
Yeah.
I think he gets in.
There you are. All right, so we've figured it out.
We're-
We've unlocked it.
Yeah,
That's who's
email
getting in.
Marty and just be like, we did it.
You're welcome.
He is the chief delegator. He can delegate to us. We'd be happy to. Also, we'll host the inductions. We'll put
Yep.
that out there. Chris and I will live pod host the induction
And
ceremony.
we'll do it. Yeah, we'll do it with King Kona again.
Mhm, absolutely.
We've done award ceremonies.
in full ceremonial dress.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Done and done. All right. Moving on. So, another thing that we have is, like I said, a whole bunch of letters. So, can I just read some letters? So, where should I start? We have, well, here's a funny one from friend of the show, Jack from Glen Ellen.
What's up, Jack?
And he writes, hey, Chris, Mike, and Serge, just a quick update. Untapped just added 3 new serving styles to check-ins. Previously, they had draft, can, bottle, taster, cask, nitro, crowler, and growler. So let's just stop right there for just a moment.
Yeah.
Talk about if this matters, and if it ever matters, which I'm not saying it does or doesn't yet. Do all of those matter?
The only one, honestly, that I'm never on Untapped anymore, but the only one that I actually pay attention to is if it's a bad review in a taster, where I'm like, our beers.
Oh, so you think taster is the legit one?
No, I think it's the worst one. I think it's like, but it's good information to have.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, for the brewer to be like, this person didn't like this person hated this beer sometimes, and I'm like, I think that's a pretty good beer. What happened? I'm like, oh, well, you had an ounce of it, and then sometimes like you click through and you're like, oh, you were at a bottle share where you were mostly drinking, fruited sours or pastry stouts, and then someone brought a bottle of Bourgeois Daydreams,
Right.
and you didn't like it. I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't like it either. But like the context of that is more like, oh, it was a 1 ounce or 2 ounce or 3 ounce pour of it, and
So that's useful for you. I
useful
would
for me to not
say
feel
it's
bad
one of
about
the
myself.
most. I'd say of all those, it's the serving style. I would say it's the most ridiculous.
Sure, agreed.
Because you could have a taster from draft, you could have a taster from a bottle,
Exactly.
from a can. You could have a taster from a crowler.
Yeah, but it's also signaling that I had a small amount of this.
Fine.
So,
But I don't know if that means serving style.
good point. Yeah, fair. Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyway, I think draft, package, cask, nitro. I'm saying package because that's can or bottle. Do we need to differentiate that? I don't really think we do.
I don't think so. There's not
It's
many
fine.
things that are.
That they're both there, I guess, is okay.
Yeah,
Who cares?
There's not many things that are packaged in both that are
Yeah.
any different in either one.
I guess crowler and
Maybe
growler,
High
they're
Life,
kind of the
maybe.
same thing as well. I mean, I guess you could get better seal on a crowler, maybe, but
Maybe.
whatever.
But you get more oxygen exposure.
Right. So whatever. To me, it's just really, yeah. So they're fine.
Yeah.
I don't have a big issue with. I mean, taster's ridiculous, but whatever. And I think crowler is just just because they had a growler, but it's not a growler. It's a crowler, and
Right.
who knows? Okay, so today, and this was 1 week ago. This email came to us. Today they added 3 new serving styles. They added tank, slushy, and side pull. What the hell? Keep up the good work, Jack from Glen Ellen.
Those are the 3 they added.
Today they
Tank?
added tank, slushy, and side pull.
Who's
What the hell? Those are his words, not mine. That's Jack from Glen Ellen's words, okay? Everyone out there, all you haters, all right? Just
Wait.
back off.
Serge? You know his address, right? You guys have hung out. Should we put that on here so you can send him letters now?
Yeah.
Just kidding. We would never do that, Jack. Tank is wild to me. Like, how often are people drinking off of a tank?
Well,
Like-
that's a new, again, human robot. They have a whole different section on their draft list for tank beers.
So, okay, so there's Human Robot and there's lesser known. Who else is doing actual tank pours for consumption at
Probably
the
a
tap room?
lot of old-fashioned brew pubs used to do it. I think they used to have some.
Really?
They had serving tanks. I'm
They'd
pretty
have
sure.
serving tanks, but they would pull them through a draft system.
Yeah. Which is what they do at Human Robot.
Oh, well, lesser known, like literally is
From a pigtail or
from
something.
a pigtail off of the tank. Like they put it through a window, and then like someone has to go and like pull it off of the actual tank with a Zwickle.
I don't think that's what they're talking about here. I think there's like
Okay.
a serving tank.
So it's like at the tap room or brew pub from the serving tank.
Or
How would the person?
it could be one of those like European places that have the Pilsner or Kel tanks in-house where they've got those like big tanks in there.
Are people that are
Could be
drinking
that.
out of that like really hitting Untapped regularly?
Listen, Mike, this is by far the most important of all the serving styles, and I'm glad it's finally finding a place.
The tank pour.
Tank beer it's the most important to know.
Yeah.
It's the tank pour.
Right, the tank,
tank
pour,
pour.
the ubiquitous tank pour. How many people do you think are going to check in Hopewell's tank beer as a tank pour, no matter how they drank it? Like everyone?
I think I'm only. So I'm probably, to be fair, I'm probably not going to be checking in a lot of Untapped beers going forward from now because I haven't been in a long time. Now,
Yeah,
this
but
email
now they have tank pour, though.
may get me to change that exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm committing right now on air. I'm putting it down. I am only going to register one of the 3 new ones. So every time I have a beer, I will say it was either from the tank, a slushy, or a side pull.
I've never felt older than right now with the rage that's building inside of me about slushy being a beer serving style.
Yeah.
Because at a certain point, like that's not a beer anymore.
No.
So, like, I guess like there's plenty of things on tap that aren't beers, but like there's a serving style that for me takes it from being something that was a beer and makes it not a beer anymore. Like if you slushy something, there's no carbonation at all. It's frozen. It's probably adulterated in some way. I mean, I guess casks.
It is a serving style, though. It's in one of those things that has the little rotor that spins it around.
Do you think now BJCP will add slushy as an option for judging? Like you can serve it, like you can send bottles, kegs, a slushy machine.
A slushy machine. Yeah.
Fobab should probably change that.
Yeah.
Because like we have to send bottles right now, and that's kind of bullshit. Maybe mine's the best on slushy machine.
Right. Mine was brewed to be served from a slushy machine.
That's what everyone's doing, right? They make their beers so they'd be best on slushy. It's not at all something where like, hey, no one's buying this beer. What if we turned it into a slushy?
Or if we make this beer and put it in a slushy machine, we can charge double for it now.
You know what would really bring out the flavor of this beer?
Which is literally, I know of breweries that literally do that. And some of them also water it down by 50% and then slushy them and then charge more.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They're watering down beer and turning it into slushies?
I'm almost 100%.
That sounds like a bad idea because slushifying kills flavor.
Yeah, well, whatever. They might dilute it with something maybe other than water.
Juice.
Yeah, maybe something.
They're
like
adding
that.
juice to it because you
I
need
don't know
more.
if it's juice.
You need more sugar for it
juice
to actually
sounds-
solidify. Like
Juice
slushify.
sounds expensive. I don't know if it's juice. Let's call it Sunny D. I mean, it's Sunny D's
Purple
juice,
stuff?
kind of. Yeah. Let's call it purple stuff. They're watering it down with Sunny
Mega
D
pur-
and purple
stuff. Jesus. Just don't buy slushy beers.
I mean, whatever. Yeah. That's yeah. So tank, we all agree is mandatory and the best one.
Yeah,
needs to be there.
I was about to write them an email about why can't I check
strongly
in this on tank?
worded
Yeah,
email
as
about.
you know.
I did not have this on a draft system. I did not have this on cask. I had it from the tank.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, Human Robot. It's run through their draft system. Same with all the brew pubs that I've ever been to that have serving vest tanks.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that it doesn't come from a keg doesn't mean that it isn't draft. Like, it's not like you're saying, like, 20-liter, 50-liter, half barrel,
Right.
quarter barrel.
I mean, maybe there is something that may be happening every time you transfer a beer, right? Like if you go from one tank to another, there could be some oxygenating gas. There could be something, but there's so few people who are actually like, yeah, it's. I'm just playing devil's advocate. This is stupid.
Okay, and now there's draft. It sounds like this should be so. This should be like the marketing catchphrase. You know, it's like, you know, there's champagne and then there's Dom Perignon, you know, something like that.
Yeah.
There's draft and then there's side pull.
Yeah.
Literally, there's draft and then there's side pull.
It really is helping you make an argument that it isn't the same addition of pouring styles as tank beer and slushy. It's not. I think. I don't know. I think the Lucre
Oh,
has
come
a little bit more.
the hell, dude! Don't Don't say it, man. You're about to go on record saying that Lucre and draft are significantly different to necessitate a gun rack.
Oh, no, I'm not saying you
I
need to
don't
have a different way to check it in.
A
But
draft system.
I think there is merit to that being a different thing more than there is tank pour or slushy. And maybe that's not true because slushy is definitely a different serving method. But are there now people that are going to be checking the same beer?
Yeah, I mean,
in?
serving style, if of any of them, I guess slushy is the most legitimately
Differentiated.
different. But you
But-
make a very good point. Is it now worthy of a check-in? Because is it beer anymore?
Well,
Is it
or
like being like, I made it into a popsicle.
but shouldn't this
I
be
turned it into a popsicle.
Shouldn't this be an entirely separate thing to check in?
Yeah,
People-
unslushy.
You shouldn't be able to check in one beer as a thing poured from a draft system or a tank or a Lucre, and then also check the same beer in and rate it on the same scale as the slushy version. That's insane. Like, if anything has ever been like apples to oranges of the same beer, having something on draft versus having it in a slushy machine
Now,
is about as different as it could possibly get.
right, unless they could differentiate the beers by serving style, which they would never do. But
What do you think? Could you taste the difference between a Lucre
slushy
pour
and
and a
draft
slushy?
beer, yes.
Okay.
A slushy and a bottle of beer, yes, I could.
I mean, what if the foam is so wet? You're like, this is a slushy?
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. Well, it was like a milk tube, a slushified milk tube, an ice cold
Ooh,
milk
a
tube.
slushed milk tube. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Ooh, can you attach a Lucre to a slushy machine?
Okay. So, what I was saying is the other serving styles that they're missing. They're
yeah.
missing the sharp pour, so it's BS already. They're already behind the times.
Yeah.
The Japanese sharp pour
Uh-huh.
needs to be on it. It is. Listen to me. It's different than a side pull. I know that it's a mechanism that does literally the same two things that the side pull does, but it's different because
Right.
it looks different and it has Japanese sharp pour as its name,
Right.
not side pull.
Well,
So there's that.
Why isn't Perlick flow control versus a regular faucet not differentiated in this?
Well, because like, who cares about that? You know,
That's a good point.
are there any cool Instagrams based on that? No. So okay, so let's just be quiet. But what about that that Czechvar bar that like literally shoots it out of a fire hose?
The rainbow fire hose.
Yeah, I want that to be its own
Yeah.
serving style.
That should be. We need to petition them.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's certainly as different from draft as side pull is.
Yeah.
I drank this. It was poured from a
Fire
fire
hose
hose
into
and
it.
poured in 3 stages.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean,
Yeah.
you could, you know what?
Well,
have
it's
you seen
something-
those little frothers? Those little like
The milk
wand
frothers? Yeah.
I mean, just put that into your beer. Go. Bzzz,
And now it's a different dispensing method.
now it's different.
Well, it's already been dispensed at that point, though, so it's not a different dispensing
It's
method.
a serving style.
Method. Yeah. Oh, is that what it says? Serving style, not dispensing.
Serving style. Serving style. Yeah, serving style. So,
I think this is something that was useful when it had a few things, right? And now it's just more widgets to spin when you're using Untapped
right.
that have become unnecessary.
Now, on Untapped, there's little icons too for all of them, right?
Yeah.
And there's how to check in a beer. So I'm gonna look up what they look like because that's what I'm interested in. Is what they look like. Because what's the tank beer look like then? I guess how to check in a beer.
Did you Google how to check
What's
in a beer?
no? What's the slushy one look like?
It's got to be like a little.
It's got to be one of those spinny.
I hope it's a
things.
GIF. It's a GIF of the spinny thing.
Yeah.
That'd be sick.
I'm gonna check in right now. Will be, which we didn't mention it earlier, but it is. You are serving it as a slushie.
No, we're not.
Yes, we are.
we're not.
Well,
No.
according to me, from
Oh,
what I
God.
recall, it's all about what I recall.
Oh,
And
You're
I'm
killing
going
me.
to be.
now I have to log into Untapped and just dispute this, which they'll say no.
No.
That's one of those things you can never change anything on there. Once it's like there was someone who checked in a raspberry Levan as a bergamot Levan, and they didn't like it. And I was like, send like, hey, this is not the right beer. I can show you what the label looks like. And Untapped was like, kick rocks.
Okay, I'm going to give it a 5. I'm going to say
That's fine,
on my
then.
comment, amazing on the slushy machine.
You're gonna cause probably a lot of problems on the 17th, the grand opening of our tap room.
I think you're.
And with Ari. Ari's been asking to get a slushy machine, but he doesn't want to put any beer in it. He just wants to make his own weird little slushies in the back.
Yeah, right. Okay. My location is going to be. So it doesn't give me all the stuff though. It just confirms. And then it gives me an ad. And then it gives me more ads for Sol's whatever. Yeah. Yeah. So
what's the icon look like?
It doesn't allow me to do it.
Do I have to like add it as a brewery maybe before you're allowed to slushify it?
I don't know. Didn't work. That sucked.
0 for the user experience on that one.
Yeah. So, Pabst makes National Bohemian. By the way.
Oh.
Yeah, it doesn't allow me to do any of this stuff. Maybe I have to be on the app. It's not meant for the.
Do you think they should add
the
mood
store.
to like they're checking in? Like it's like I'm having it as a slushie and I'm feeling ornery.
Right, like
I'm having it
the
as a slushie and
like the
I'm
old
feeling
magnets,
sad.
like the magnets that you would have on your refrigerator.
Yep.
That's like I'm feeling it. It's all the different pictures of Calvin.
Yep, exactly.
I think we should do that.
Yeah.
You should do that.
I should do that.
Yeah, I think we both should do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Petition Untapped until they add how was I feeling when I had this to it.
Yeah. Now I'm going on to the here it is. I'm going back onto it. I rated it a 5. I'm going to add.
You're on your phone now, so you were rating it on your computer, and now you're on your phone.
Yeah, I'm adding a photo.
It's an empty
of the
glass.
empty
hopefully
glass.
Yep, cool.
But it proves that I was not lying, and I really did have it at the Untapped place,
of course.
tap room. So I'm doing that. I'm going to leave it raw. I'm not, how was it? Leave a note. Amazing on
So cold.
slushy.
The coldest slushy that Wilmy have ever had.
Cold. So cold. Okay. And then the location was brewing. It's in here.
Oh, no. How
Serving
did they-
style, draft, which is a little draft handle, bottle, which looks like a bottle, can, taster looks a lot like just a little glass of beer.
That's what
Cask
taster
looks like a barrel. Nitro looks like, I don't know what nitro looks like. Nitro looks like maybe a glass tank. Crowler is a can. Growler is a growler. Tank is, they have a serving, just a big old tank with the legs coming off of it.
Big old
for
serving tank with legs.
Slushy
Please
is,
be a GIF.
it's not.
Is it something with like...
It's no, that's what I thought it was going to be, like one of those like swirly machines.
Like a Slurpee looking thing.
No, it's a dome-topped slushy, literally with a straw in it. Well, actually, and then the side pull is the lucre.
Beer
So I'm
sucks.
doing it. You're looking at it here. It says slushy. That's what I had. And the flavor profile, my choices are clean, bright, and balanced. I'm going to hit all 3. And
Nice.
peppery and funky. I'm going to say it was all of them.
Nice.
And now I'm going to tag my friends. I don't know who these people
This
are,
is riveting podcasting.
but I'll do all this.
You don't know who these
now
people
I'm
are?
done. I don't know who they are.
It's not me and Serge.
There we are. So now I've kept up my word, and I'm only going to be using those things. So, okay. Thank you, Jack. Great new styles.
Jack, you've ruined my day.
That was amazing, though. Okay. So, we now have a bunch of stuff. We have something about XPA. We've got something about stovepipes. I know you and Eric, Buster, I should say,
Big stovepipe
are
guys.
big stovepipe guys. You go all the way back to that, 4-part series you did on when Zombie Dust went to stovepipes?
Yeah, it was more than 4 parts.
That was
I don't even
riveting.
know off the
Well, I
top
think
of
you
my
only
head.
released 4.
We only released
The
4.
Patreon might have gone.
You have to go to Record Store Day to get
So
the
there's
other
that. There's
283.
something about 19.2s. It's a very interesting email about 19.2s. And then we have some either-or stuff. So what are you feeling? And then something also about morals and politics in your brewery. I don't know if I'm feeling that one right
That
now.
sounds tough today.
Yeah.
Let's do
Stovepipes?
19.2s.
I knew you were
Let's
gonna say that.
innovate into 19.2s.
All right. This comes from Steve J.
What's up, CJ?
And he says, I'm away on a long weekend trip to Lake George. Having never been, it's great. I highly recommend, unrelated to my question. Looking to try local beer, and the options are crummy local groceries, I guess, to buy from. I found myself buying a lot of 19.2s from Druthers, Adirondack, Northway Brewing, he says in parentheses. Knowing those groceries keep that stock refrigerated and probably go through them fairly quick, it's been tough to pick up some of the stuff that I'd really like to try over it, knowing it's probably older and has been sitting. Is this another thing that's going to ruin my need for My Box, Iswas Saisons, and ESBs? Steve J. Many hugs and kisses to each member of the panel. Size XL, 3-tier Yeti cooler. Thank you, Steve. Steve.
I mean, the 3 things you called out probably have very long shelf life, so I would still keep picking those up.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be buying warm stored IPA at a grocery store in Lake George, you know? So,
I'd say, yeah, refrigerated matters a lot.
yeah.
One thing I will say is it depends on how many 19.2s they have. And I guess dates do matter a little bit. Being refrigerated is a huge benefit, though, to it being warm. But one thing to remember is you only need to sell 4 units out of 6-packs to move through a whole case. Or
Right.
6 units of a 4-pack. Where a stovepipe,
So
you have to use
24 of them.
Yeah, 24, at least 12.
12.
Often they come in, but you buy
12s.
cases of them.
Yeah.
And they come in 2 12-packs
Yeah.
of 19.2s. So, I mean, they probably are moving faster, but are they moving that much faster? Are they
Right,
moving
maybe
24 to 4
6
or
times
24 to
faster.
6
Yeah.
faster?
That's a really good point that I never thought about.
Yeah. Well, that's why I used to not as a buying for a retail shop, you know, in the days of bombers. Yeah, moving 12 units
Yeah.
versus,
Right.
4 for a case.
12
it's great.
choices.
And also why
essentially.
we've always kept a very tight amount of mix of 6s too. I mean, we probably have 50 of them, and we still have ones that go old and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Versus like people who have hundreds and hundreds, or you can just literally pull off anything, and it's like, well, geez, all this stuff's just going to be old.
Right. Well, how much mix of 6 are you guys selling these days?
Decent amount.
Yeah.
I mean, we pull through them. Yeah, people don't do it as mix of 6. They do it as singles though. Very few like 6-packs.
Yeah.
I would say people like buy something and then they like pick up like 1 or 2 things. We
Yeah,
do a lot though.
I kind of forget. That's how I did get into craft beer, is the mix of 6. At like a random liquor store by DePaul. I'll just get a mix of 6s.
So So 19.2s. I mean, it's an interesting theory from Steve J.
Yeah.
And I think it's the fact that it's refrigerated and it's worthy,
And most
especially
people-
if it's a grocery store you're not sure about and they're sitting warm and who knows when they've been. You
Right.
know?
And most people do shop the cooler, right? So, like, even though you have to sell 6 times the amount of, units or, like, individual choices that the consumers make, it's probably, like, what, 30% of people maybe shop the warm shelf, while 70% only shop the cooler. That's a made-up number. I don't know what that is. But more people are trying to grab cold beer now and drink it.
Right.
So maybe, do they not have any 6-packs cold in that fridge?
I don't know,
Just
man.
for Steve?
I wasn't there.
Stevie?
I don't know.
I also had never heard of any of those breweries he was talking about. I don't know the Lake George scene.
Let's do one more letter, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me see. We have a bunch of people sending us lacing, and then there's one about the XPA that came in a little while ago, and then we have either or. Do you want to do either or? And all right, you know what? We're running out of time. I think we should save this either or for another time because it'll be good.
Yeah.
But let's do the XPA one. This is from Eddie, and he says, "I'm emailing you to introduce you to an XPA that was released last week." Now, this came in at the end of June, so sorry, Steve, Eddie, rather. Last week here in Kansas City, the XPA is brought to us by Alma Mater Brewing. The owner, Nick Mater, is from Portland, where he brewed at Fremont for some time. So, yeah, pretty legit. Before opening a shop in Kansas City, and Alma Mater focuses on West Coast IPAs, hazy IPAs, and lagers. And each June, they release a Pride beer called Press Play, and it's an XBA. And it's lean malt character, reminiscent of a West Coast IPA, with the foundation of hops that are Citra, Mosaic, Simcoe. Ever heard any of them? Mm-hmm. And then layered in Nelson and Rakow, and lands around 5%. This introduction is because of your love for Firestone Walker's XPA. The beer doesn't hit the same, but still an XPA with Nelson, and it's as exciting and as beautiful, but in a different way. I hope that the news that the Midwest is creating XPA styles brings you as much joy as it does me. It certainly does, Eddie. XPA, man, it's the new style. If I were to do a house beer or to do another collab beer right now, 100% XPA. And I don't know how much I had to do with it. I do know that I reached out to Beechwood and asked if they're doing XPA, and their head of sales says no. Maybe I'll have them brew one. And he got back to me. He's like, "Hey, I got him to brew an XPA." So I don't know if that was
you only
true.
have to take 16 half barrels of it.
That's
to
true.
Make it.
So I hope that style comes along. I really like that style, the XPA. So
Yeah, same.
I'm bullish on the XPA.
Up and to the right, baby.
Yeah, always. So that's all for our letters. Thank you guys very much for that. It's insiders. If you want to send an electronic letter, it's insiders at craftbeertemple.com. If you want to send a message in a bottle or any other
Carrier pigeon.
way, carrier pigeon, just a handwritten letter, typed out and printed. We haven't gotten a good old-fashioned typed out and printed letter in a long time. And you know what we certainly haven't gotten? What about those ones that have like the little tabs, like those little along the sides? You have to pull off. It's like how it feeds through the printer.
Yeah, like
the ones that kind of
dot matrix printer.
Yes, we haven't gotten one of them.
Yeah, if you have a dot matrix printer, please send us a letter.
You have to send us a letter. And yeah, so
do you think they should rip the things off or leave them on?
Either way.
Yeah, maybe one side rip them off, one side leave them on.
True. Yeah. But there's one more thing I do want to talk about before we get out of here, and that is the the Lori Children's Hospital
Oh, yes.
Insiders for a Day episode. So that one went down, and we haven't been on since.
Yeah.
Shoot, I didn't even talk about the beer dinner we did with the
Scratch.
4 beers that we brewed at Scratch. But, there's just been too much to do. It was a good time.
Yeah.
It was really cool. But there, I was introduced to Connor Kane, who won the Insiders for a Day.
Yeah.
So congrats to Connor. We're going to be talking with him and figuring out. We already have an idea of who we'd like to have on, and now we just got to figure out what to talk about and when to do it.
Yeah.
And we'll have Connor on. So congratulations to him.
Yeah,
It's awesome.
and thank
Looking
you.
forward to it. Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to put that out there. Amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
I was
Very cool.
blown
away.
Yeah, I was blown away. I was expecting to be slightly embarrassed by the winning bid, especially when I realized it was my mother. And
she only gave us $40.
yeah, but it was astounding.
Very
that
cool.
That was really, really cool.
Yeah.
And thanks to everyone who was. I mean, a lot of people bidding on this thing.
It was
so,
it was a surreal experience
Yeah.
to you want to be on this show.
Yeah. Is there anything we should talk about before we get out of here, Mike?
I don't think so. I think we covered it. I think
We covered it all. There's nothing.
nothing left.
Nothing-
Last show.
Nothing is uncovered.
Yeah,
It's all been covered.
it's all been covered.
Cool. All right, then. It's good to be back. It's good to be at the it's Studio iDub. Is that what you call it?
Yeah.
iDubbbz. And awesome. Well, congratulations, and we will see everybody soon. So long.
Remember this is what we wanted. Remember this is what we said. To never be heard or seen from again. Remember this is what we wanted.